I chose the best friend's brother. That weekend in the mountains should have been nothing more than a cozy escape with my oldest friend. Late nights with board games, mugs of steaming cocoa, and laughter echoing against cold cabin walls. But fate had slipped in a twist I was not prepared for. Her older brother, Daniel, had decided to join us at the last minute. I had always thought of him as permanently off limits. He was freshly divorced, almost twice my age, and in my mind firmly filed under untouchable family territory. But the first moment we were left alone, the ground shifted beneath me. My life before that trip felt solid. I had a stable career as an interior designer, a marriage that I believed was built on trust, and friendships that had weathered decades. I took pride in my morning ritual, fresh coffee, brewed perfectly, sunlight streaming through cream curtains onto our polished oak dining table, my husband reading the paper while I scribbled sketches for upcoming projects. Our shared home smelled of fresh linen and sandalwood candles, always calm, always warm. I loved that rhythm, that sense of safety. But the cracks began quietly, like hairline fractures in glass, barely visible at first. I did not realize how fragile my stable life was until months before the trip, when I stumbled upon the truth. The betrayal came like an unsteady blow to the chest. It was a Thursday, damp and windy. I had gone upstairs for a sweater before heading to meet a client. On my husband's desk lay his phone, unlocked. I should have walked away, but something, a quiet pull, made me glance. There was the message, strung in glowing blue bubbles. I miss yesterday. I want to hold you again. Her name wasn't familiar. My breath halted. My hands trembled, feeling cold and strange, like they didn't belong to me. I sat down hard on the edge of our bed, inhaling the distant scent of his cologne, still soaked into the sheets, trying not to gag at how suddenly foreign it smelled. The metallic taste of panic crept across my tongue. By the time I confronted him that evening, the wind outside had turned to icy rain, drumming steadily against windows like a cruel metronome. His eyes darted, his voice stumbled. Rage and grief swirled together, each feeding the other. I craved escape, any escape, and when my best friend called to invite me to the cabin, I said yes before she finished the sentence. That is how I met eyes with Daniel again, not at a family gathering, not passing in a hallway, but in the quiet glow of the cabin's kitchen at midnight. I had been making tea, the soft hiss of the kettle filling the air. He emerged from the shadows wearing a simple sweatshirt, his hair still damp from a shower. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked, voice low, threaded with something I couldn't place. I meant to smile lightly, brush off the question, but somehow the words caught in my throat. We stood there, the steam rising between us, the faint scent of mint leaves mixing with the cedar walls. Days passed, filled with group hikes and shared meals, but whatever tether had formed that night only tightened. I became hyper-aware of him, the way his eyes softened when he listened, the warmth in his laughter, the way his hand brushed mine once as we passed plates across the table. On the second evening, my friend went to bed early, and Daniel offered to show me the old trail behind the cabin. The night air was sharp and clean, carrying the scent of pine. Moonlight slipped through branches, dappling the ground. We spoke in low tones about our lives, his painful divorce, my shattered marriage, and the cadence of our steps seemed to pull our stories into alignment. When he stopped mid-trail and turned to me, there was a glow in his eyes that felt like recognition, like he saw something in me I had forgotten was there. If this confession has you holding your breath, hit like and share, because you will not believe what happened next. That night, back inside, we sat by the fire. Crackling embers sent little pops into the air. His hand rested near mine, but did not touch, and that restraint was almost more electrifying than contact. I could smell the faint trace of smoke in his sweater, hear the low rumble of his voice when he said my name. He told me that for years he had thought of me fondly, but always as Amy's friend. That in the cabin he saw me differently, not just as a survivor of heartbreak, but as someone whose quiet strength drew him in. I felt my pulse quicken. My stomach tightened with a mix of fear and possibility. The room seemed smaller, the shadows warmer. I leaned closer without quite meaning to. It was not a kiss we shared, but it was something. The kind of gaze that lasts too long, the kind that leaves your lips tingling with imagined touch. By Saturday night, my friend decided to take an early drive back to town to prepare for Monday. The moment her car pulled out of the gravel drive, the silence between Daniel and me became thick and charged. We cooked dinner together, simple pasta with garlic and olive oil. My fingers brushed his when he passed me the bowl, and this time he did not pull away. There was no rush, no desperate leap. We sat on the couch afterward, the fire casting amber stripes across his face, speaking about the ways loss can break you, and the strange, rare chance of finding someone who can gently piece parts back together. He told me he had worried at first, that I was too wounded to let anyone in. I admitted that I had thought love was something I had exhausted, a well drawn dry. But sitting there, feeling the quiet steadiness of his presence, I realized that sun wells refill when you least expect it. On Sunday morning, before we left, he walked me to the car. Dew clung to the grass, sparkling under the pale sun, and the air was crisp enough to wake the skin. He took my hand, not furtively, not as a secret, but with deliberate care. "I do not know where we go from here," he said softly, "but I know I want to try." Driving away, I watched the cabin fade into the mirror and felt a strange mix of ache and hope. Forbidden as it was, this connection felt more honest than anything I had touched in years. Perhaps it was not about defying rules, but about finding the courage to choose happiness after devastation. And maybe second chances look nothing like the first. They are quieter, steadier, built not on perfection, but on shared scars. If you crave more raw, emotional confessions, please like, share, and subscribe. Your next chapter awaits.